आज वर्ष नितीश कुमारांना मुख्यमंत्री म्हणून भाजपनं कायम ठेवलं. आता त्या मुख्यमंत्री पदाचं नेमकं काय होतं याच्याबद्दलची चर्चा सुरू आहे. आता भाजपचा आकडा आहे का जास्त आहे यामध्ये पुन्हा
Okay. So today we start with the paper, the thesis paper, and today the topic is the role of Earth's magnetic fields, which it plays between the interconnectivity between the living systems. So the magnetic fields carry biological relevant information. The second GCI hypothesis states the Earth's magnetic fields are carriers of biologically relevant information that connects all living systems. See, the Earth's magnetic fields are carriers of biological relevant information that connects all living systems. The first biomagnetic signal was demonstrated in 1863 by Gerald Ball and Richard McPhee in a magnetocardiogram (MCG) that used magnetic induction coils to detect the fields generated by the human heart outside of the body. A remarkable increase in the sensitivity of biomagnetic measurements was achieved with the introduction of the superconducting quantum interference device, the SQUID, in the early 1970s. Of all the organs, the heart generates the largest rhythmic electromagnetic field, one that is approximately 100 times stronger than that produced by the brain. Well, probably that is why, of course, physiologically, the heart is the most important part, but also because we have the most of the meditations are heart oriented. The epicenter becomes the heart. So, and this field is measured in the nanotesla ranges and can be detected several feet from the body with squid-based magnometers. We have found that the rhythmic patterns in beat-to-beat heart rate variability reflects emotional states, and thus rate variability reflect emotional states and thus encode and transmit biologically relevant information patterns via the electromagnetic field radiated into the environment. The heart generates a series of electromagnetic pulses in which the time interval between each beat varies in a complex manner. These pulsing waves of electromagnetic energy gives rise to interference patterns when they interact with magnetically polarizable tissues and substances. We have shown in our laboratory that the heart's electromagnetic field can be detected by nearby animals or the nervous systems of other people and can mediate with several types of physiological synchronization between individuals. These findings have been confirmed by a number of other investigators. For example, in a study on interpersonal effects of non-verbal compassionate communication in which physiological effects were measured, Kemper and Salholt found significant changes in the receiver's autonomic nervous system. Hmm. That is why they say that the bond or the thought process or what we call as intuition, probably between, or the emotional bond between the mother and the child. Mostly it's like people talk only about the mother and the child, but of course, any compassionate heart of a teacher would probably connect with the and synchronize um, between uh, the receiver's autonomic nervous system. Razak and Schwartz found that cardiac energy and information exchange can occur between individuals and that the degree of physiological synchronization between pairs was greater in people who reported being raised in a loving environment. They showed that the EEGs of one person could synchronize to another person's heartbeats, ECG, who was sitting across from the person at a table. They found that participants who rated themselves 40 years before the study as having been raised by loving parents had significantly more synchronization between the pairs than those that reported not being raised in a loving environment. Although there are too many studies showing physiological synchronization to discuss physical to discuss here, one another um, interesting study that examined physiological synchronization was conducting during a Spanish fire walking ritual that looked at synchronized cardiac activity between the firewalkers and the spectators. Wow. So, how important the emotional bonding is between the people who are, uh, you know, who are connected through the art space. It found a high degree of synchronized activity during a 30-minute ritual between the firewalkers and related spectators, but not in spectators who were unrelated and did not have an emotional connection with the firewalkers. Interesting. The study concluded that the mediating mechanism must be informational. Hmm. When the individuals are in a state of heart coherence, the heart radiates a more coherent electromagnetic signal into the environment and they are more sensitive to detecting the information in the fields radiated by others. I guess when you change, people around you change, but the change has to originate from at a very emotional level, at a very heart level, to be able to synchronize to another heart space which is close to you. Hmm. The magnetic field generated by the heart provides a plausible mechanism for how we can feel or sense another person's presence and emotional state independent of body language or other factors. There is a direct relationship between the heart rhythm pattern in the HRV waveforms and the special information encoded in the frequency spectra of the magnetic field radiated by the heart. Thus, information about a person's emotional state is encoded in the heart's magnetic field. And this information is communicated throughout the body and radiated out into the external environment. Huh. A good analogy is for this is how cell phones work. Interesting. Let's see this. In this example, we routinely encode information, that is our voice, text message, etc., into an electromagnetic field that can carry the information across great distances. Wow. So if you're connecting electromagnetically and getting synchronized, that means it's your heart which is getting connected, and then you put the intent and the message in that space and you put it out into the space of frequency and the resonance, and that information gets carried across great distances. The ability of electromagnetic fields to induce long range organization in living systems has been proposed by a number of researchers. Additionally, it has been suggested electromagnetic fields are responsible for the self organization of the entire ecosystems. Giorgio Picardi, the first to show that environmental electromagnetic fields could affect the chemical reactions, stated the following in the 1930s. Living, I'm quoting it, so the living organisms of necessity take part in the events of the environment in which they exist. Very often, they participate by means of specialized organs in accordance with their degree of evolution and complexity. But it is not important for us to know whether the beings in question possess them, whether in greater or lesser number. All of this is of no use to us. So we will concern ourselves with the possibilities offered to living beings directly aware of particular environmental phenomena. The events which take place in space act upon living organisms either by contact or at a distance. But the study of action by contact, which is accessible to direct experiential investigation, is, as I see it, related more to physiology than to medical climatology. On the other hand, certain phenomena which takes place in geophysical space and all the phenomena which takes place in solar space and astrophysical space act as at a distance. No matter what the nature of far off special phenomena, their action is exercised by means of radiations of an electromagnetic or corpuscular nature or by means of variations in the general field electrical, magnetic, electromagnetic, or gravitational. All of this may today be listed as being distant actions. Quote closed. Hmm. And there is more which Picardi states, and he says, definitely all living matter reacts to far off special actions, both electromagnetic and field. There are two professors of theoretical physics, and they received the prestigious Prigogine Award for their research on ecological systems. They state Their names are very difficult, so I'm not. No, I'm pronounce them right. That's not fair. This state, again I quote, the electromagnetic field acts as a messenger able to involve simultaneously a large number of molecule compound components, affecting therefore a macrocosmic being. Electromagnetic fields instead with all the molecules present within its own wavelength. Moreover, liquid water, which accounts for the huge majority of molecular components of living organisms, should play an essential role in this process, as realized by Picardi. It has been shown that biological dynamics works only when water exceeds a threshold. Quote closed. Brazica and Delguidice suggested that the magnetic vector potential could be the physical agent acting as a messenger in coherent structures, such as living systems, and that provides a continuous exchange of information between living systems within the larger ecosystems. They suggest that the magnetic potential provides the mechanism for the establishment of the coherence, complexity, non locality, and self consistency of living systems and ecosystems. Okay, I quote again. The messengers should be electromagnetic fields produced by the coherent parts of the organism. Okay, I will read it again. The messengers should be the electromagnetic fields produced by all the coherent parts of the organisms. We recall that a coherent system is one where the phase, namely the rhythm of oscillation of the coupled matter and electromagnetic field, is sharply defined. Here we generalize this approach to a larger scale and show that according to quantum field theory, the electromagnetic field is the messenger that via its electromagnetic potential governs the dynamics of not only individuals but the whole ecosystem to which the individuals belong. So you can not only change or work on or connect to and synchronize to to any organism, any living system, but also to the entire ecosystem. And as you are, but of the whole ecosystem to which the individuals belong. So even the environment, the space, everything around that also can be synchronized. This generalization is based on the fact that the field causes the emergence of the coherent structure, which, in view of their coherence, openness, openness and non-linearity, are able to self-organize and form a chain of hierarchical levels of ecosystems. Quote closed. Hmm. Support for the hypothesis that magnetic fields are carriers of biologically relevant information has been provided by studies which have been conducted by Luc Montagnier, who was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine in 2008 for his discovery of HIV. He and his co researchers discovered the epigenetic information related to DNA could be detected as electromagnetic signals radiated from solutions containing DNA. Now, they demonstrated that this information could be transferred to and instruct the recreation of DNA in a remote test tube of water containing the appropriate basic constituents of DNA by electromagnetic frequency fields of 7.8 Hz, which is, of course, the first Schumann resonance frequency. They showed that the presence of the electromagnetic field was critical for the information transfer to occur between the test tubes. Furthermore, the authors state that the electromagnetic fields that transfer DNA information could be provided from natural sources such as human resonances. Electromagnetic fields that transfer DNA information could be provided from the natural sources such as Schumann resonances. So, if the wand that we actually saw the other day, which is amplifying the various resonances, so that means the electromagnetic field is that is able to transfer the DNA information in that specific through the source of the Schumann resonances. Very interesting. Hmm. So, the numerous studies examining the effects of magnetic fields with the same magnitude as the geomagnetic field on brain functions and the information transfer. Now, Persinger also suggests that the Earth's magnetic field can act as a carrier of information between individuals' neural networks. Of course. Hmm. Support for experiments on this was provided by Rolio, etc. Using two spring water samples separated by a large distance that was surrounded by toroidal wound coils driven with the same magnetic field that has an accelerating and decelerating phase modulation pattern. After injecting acetic acid, that means they are adding protons into one water sample, the alkalinity of the other water sample increased. Very interesting. In other words, dynamic changes in the water sample did not have its pH changed by adding the protons. Also occurred because of the shared phase modulated electromagnetic field. Hmm. Similar experiments were shown to produce the same type of non local excess correlations for photon emissions of cell cultures and the electrical activity of the human brain. The global information field. As an extension of the hypothesis above, we suggest that we not only are receivers of biologically relevant information, but additionally, we can feed information into a global field environment. So no one is less. If we can feed all the stuff that we talk about, then we can feed in this electromagnetic field the information and with the heart resonance and the coherence. What is it that we want to feed? This leads to our third hypothesis that we each affect the global information field. Wow. In this section, we will discuss studies and theories supporting the suggestion that bioelectromagnetic fields, such as the ones radiated by human hearts and brains, can affect other individuals and potentially couple to a type of global information field. Note that the studies discussed in the previous section support the first part of this statement, namely bioelectromagnetic fields, such as those radiated by human hearts and brains, can affect other individuals. The concept of a noosphere was introduced by Vladimir Vermandsky, the founder of the National Academy of Science of Ukraine. All the credit for coining the term noosphere is given to French Pierre Teilhard Chardin, a French philosopher, pentalo- pa- pel- paleontologist, and geologist. The noosphere is the third phase or evolutionary step of Earth. After the geosphere, which is water, rock, atmosphere, etc., and the biosphere, which is talks about the biological life, Teilhard perceived a continuous growth in the evolution of increasing complexity and consciousness that expands in space and time. For him, the noosphere is a sphere of thought and spiritual energy encircling the earth where interaction between human minds occurs and embraces the social domain and evolution of our legal, educational, religious, and technological systems. The noosphere evolves in steps with the mass consciousness of the human population, and Teilhard believed consciousness could expand beyond the earth and out into the universe. His focus was to connect the two energies of the body and the soul in a coherent manner. He believed Love was the principal driver of what he called no energies, no genesis, and that evolution would reach an omega point, an apex of thought and consciousness, which is identified with the return of a Christ consciousness. Coherent with Teilhard's concept of the noosphere is morphic resonance, a term coined by Rupert Sheldrake, who defined it as a type of interconnection between all similar organisms across time and space. Sheldrake's morphogenic field theory states that once one member of a group that shares the same biological structure acquires a new skill in performing a task, the same skill can be acquired more quickly by other members of the group in successive order. He states that our minds extend into time and space, and that members of social groups are linked together through an invisible morphic field even when they are far away. There is evidence to suggest an energetic field connection is formed among individuals in groups through which communication among all the group members can occur simultaneously. In other words, there may be a group field that connects all the members, like how we have the chief family, and we connect to each one of us when we are practicing in the class in the chief circle, and then to the entire chief family, and then to the masters, and then to the teachers, and we connect to that space of Geonesis, Geo, mm, love that term, where it's gone. No, no Genesis, no Genesis. Morphic resonance. So, sociologist Raymond Bradley, in collaboration with the neuroscientist Carl Pribram, developed a theory of social communication to explain um, hmm, the patterns of social organization common to most groups, independent of size, culture, degree of formal organization, length of existence, or member characteristics. They found that most groups have a coherent network of energetic connections that link virtually all members into a single multi level hierarchy by mapping all possible relationships between each pair of members in a group. They found a direct relationship between the number and structure of reciprocated positive emotional bonds and control of power relations among the members that predicted group stability and performance even 2 years later. The model that best fits the data was one based on a field concept in which information about the group as a whole were distributed to all members in such a way that information about the group's global organization could be obtained from any member within the field, a type of collective consciousness referred as social hologram. Wow. Hmm. A field of information is the substance of the cosmos. Using the Sanskrit term for space as akasha, he calls this information field as the akashic field or a field. He suggests that the quantum vacuum is the fundamental energy and the information carrying field similar to that of Braziga and Del Giudice. So there have been basically many people, many scientists, many quantum physicists, or many people who have been doing this, that there is a quantum vacuum, the collective consciousness, the field, the Akashic field or the A field, where there's a source of fundamental energy and information, which is a carrying field. That why a universe appears to be fine tuned to as to form conscious life forms, and why evolution is an informed process rather than a random one. He believes that the hypothesis solves several problems that emerge from quantum physics, especially non locality and quantum entanglement. And the consciousness is generated not only by the human brains, but all living organisms, which are interconnected by a field similar to the global information field. Furthermore, there is a mounting evidence that consciousness is not confined to the brain, but rather is non local. Oh, okay, let's look at that, which means embracing minds and events beyond the mind and the body. So many other well known and respected physicists have made similar suggestions. So there are similarities of basic frequencies, harmonies, magnetic field intensities, voltages, bandwidths of the Schumann resonance and human brains, which suggest the capacity for direct interaction and resonate coupling between them. That the dynamics in the magnetosphere that affect the SR stability and amplitudes may be reflected in human brain activity, including modifications of cognition and dream related memory consolidations. They were pairs of individuals separated by more than 6,000 kilometers. They exhibited a significantly increased correlation in EEG activity, primarily between the right hemisphere of the pairs of the participants. In this experiment, the participant pairs had used the same toroidal coils that were used in the experiment that demonstrated an excessive correlationship, which is a non local connection in changes of the pH in the spring water and the photon emissions of cell structure. The coils were placed around their heads, and pairs were simultaneously exposed to the same magnetic sequences while using separate devices in two different locations, and the time was synchronized. In addition, the pair's subjective experiences, as measured by the profile and the mood states, indicated significantly increased excess correlation for scales reflecting anger and vigor. And as you apply external fields similar to the SRS, can induce altered states of consciousness. He also published a detailed theory of how the geomagnetic field can store information related to brain activity. And this information can be accessed by other human brains. How magnificent. Hmm. The number of people asleep may affect the activity in the Schumann resonance values in the 12 to 14 Hertz range, with peak to peak changes of zero point 0.1 Hertz and zero point 0.1 pt in the Schumann resonance. They found that the after potential artifacts were removed, and as the number of people sleeping increased, the frequency within the 12 to 14 Hertz range increased while the intensity decreased by about 1 pt. Wow. Okay. Any questions? Hmm.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how when you started reading, I was thinking it's energy in the end, right? And that is why we feel connected to people. We feel sometimes suffering or emotion of some other person as well that we don't know as well.
Hmm.
And I think what I liked was the biological connection that made me connect, that I always had this in my mind that whenever my mom has gone through something or something, I have always felt that. When she had migraine, I had migraine. She had this, I picked up this. So I always found that as well, and I was like, okay, I had to consciously, I don't know, break it or tell it that no, it is. I don't need to take it in as well. But I felt that happening.
Hmm.
But I like the scientific explanation of the presence of everything, that it is everything is alive and conscious, including the radiations and the light and the fields that we have. It is so right.
Everything. So it's like we are connected, the heart resonance, the magnetic fields, the that sphere, that space.
Mm.
I think I have told you once that to experience that has been amazing. So it's like because it's there out there. So why is it that earlier people would struggle with basic ABC? Now a child is born and like I mean like it's everything is so fast because it's already
Mm.
out there,
Yeah.
and it's very easy to access that information. And it's not only that, it's more that it's affecting us at all times. We are connected. That's why they say that it is very important. Satsang, what kind of company you're keeping, what kind of
Mm.
people you're talking to, what is coming out. It's like how you're. See, if you say everything is energy, we know that. That is what we are talking about. Energy is like the frequencies and the Schumann frequency resonance and everything. So it is, everything is connected and
Mm.
everything is affecting what is, what you go through. And like how we say that connect, be in the chi field, come for the class, be there because you're connected already. If 10 people are thinking that, hey, you should get well, then you do feel that, and you're, it is, it shows. So I mean, this is more of a, like you said, Nagma, that this is more of a um, scientific explanation of what we have been experiencing in the class and what we have been, um we just know, I guess, culturally, we just know this. We feel, we
Mm.
intuitively log into it because, and then everybody talks about myths and mystical or
Okay.
magical. There's
Yeah.
huge science behind it. There's a huge
Yes.
science behind it. It
Yeah.
is not just something which has no reasoning or no scientific explanations.
Mhm.
It is all happening at all levels, and we as uh, humans and they says all the living organisms are getting.
Yes.
So if there was, so the classical example is the collective fear which was produced, right, during the lockdown. So, so it's very important to see that also. So that is why they say that if you really want to increase the global consciousness, it is very important to do anything that is possible for you and everything. Okay, nothing that you do goes ever to a waste. It's always, it builds up, and you get connected more and more to such people who are stronger, who move above the the other different consciousness, which is like more of other levels. So we don't talk about it. We keep doing the work that we are doing and see to it that we the lives of people around us are affected. So, so much is happening as we come back from the retreat and what's happening in people's lives. So, you can see it very clearly. Yes, it is disturbing, but we need to keep doing what we are doing so
Mm.
that there are changes which happen in our lives.
And
No,
also
we're all.
the Wi-Fi radiation is like it's not connected to. It's the barrier for the connecting with the higher frequency.
Yes,
Yeah.
Switch off.
I told him every night just to
Switch off.
switch off.
put it off
Year
every
after,
night. Put it off, put it off.
When you sleep, put it off.
I told my brother that and all that. I didn't hear that much. No, they are not listening. So year after, I will just switch off them.
Keep a plant underneath it for a few days. You will see what happens to the plant.
Actually, already the plant is there. My fish tank is there. I think they are getting irritated so much. I think my fishes
Mhm.
are very. I'm
Mm.
really sad about my fishes now.
Switch off.
Yeah, switch it off. When you don't need it, you don't need it. Why do you want yourself to be
Yeah.
surrounded? Everything is
And
so
people are. I can clearly see the people are which are mirror of me. I am reflecting them every situation. Like okay, I am attracting that frequency, and that will come and remind me as okay, increase your frequency, increase your frequency. I don't blame them, but it's a replica of like me, and I thought like that. Okay, I need to increase the frequency. I don't have to criticize them.
very
That's
nice. Fantastic.
yeah.
You are an inspiring girl, Nandini.
Thank you.
Of course. So wonderful to bring and grow and change, so willing to move forward in life, which is amazing. Amazing. Mm. You are like a sponge waiting to be poured
Mhm.
onto. Just that. Yeah.
I still have to change some fear also inside. Like not fear. The first step to the something I have to do. I'm doing my in my frequency. That was I'm saying. But first and all, ma'am, when they put some barrier to me, I was the fully down, and still they are forcing me to marriage now. My brother's marriage is done, but now they are forcing me. I don't care like that. That's all. I clearly see, ma'am. I tell my one example, ma'am. On that day, some alliance came. They go to some astrology. and they're going. After they're gone, I'm crying, 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 crying. I don't know why. Because there is, I don't have to marry now. Oh my God, this is I have to do something in my life of for me. Then only I will. I didn't get the mindset, and I'm after cried. I just take a breath and I said, okay, if it have to happen, it's okay. Universe, I give it to you. You handle it now. They come back. They take for two alliances and they take to astrology. Two of them is flop. I literally get out the fear. Fraction of second they came and said that the both not matching them. I was okay. Year after, I don't fear about you are watching my alliance. I don't care. You are saying okay. See, I don't care. If it is for me, it will come to me. It trust me, universe will take it out. I don't. I can clearly say, oh my god, that was a magic one that day. Oh my god, really, really. Oh, I said thank you, universe.
Very nice.
When I let it go, it will go. That's all.
I love
I
that
never
attitude.
hold it.
It's so amazing. Complete trust, complete surrender.
Oh my god, that's a
It's
real magic
amazing.
one.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
Very, it's, yeah, complete trust and magic and surrender. It's amazing. So,
I am the
whatever
one
you
holding that
do,
fear, what that everything. When I get it, go. We'll see. It's God. It was a really, really.
simple, no?
Yeah,
Simple.
very simple, man. Very simple. Oh my god. Oh.
Very nice, Nandini.
Often I felt like I was writing in gratitude, man. On the day I'm gonna travel, I don't know why I'm going to Tanjavur. I'm felt that much loud, not by someone beside me or their singing, just by myself. I written one page fully. Oh my god, I felt love. I felt love. I don't know why I felt love. I felt love. I felt loving myself. I don't know why I'm loving myself. This was I only full faith. I'm writing this only. Oh my god, that feel is really different. I can't say
Hmm.
it in a word, but that was very. I said it to my sister. He will understand. My sister, not to other people.
Wow, you're a blessed one, girl. Truly. Nice. All right. Any other questions? Any share? No? Okay. Then we shall call it a day. Nice. All right. So you take care. Have a nice weekend ahead, and I shall see you soon.
Yes, see you. Bye.
Yeah.